Hey everyone, and welcome back to episode 2. It's Adila and Ben. Thanks for joining us again. Today we'll be discussing our undergraduate experience and our transition to postgraduate studies.
And at the end of today's episode, we'll be going back in time to give our younger, more fresh-faced versions of ourselves some valuable feedback for our very first day at uni.
Hey Ben, that cool new intro you just heard, that was made especially for our podcast by a good friend, and this is a local Perth band called Teen Angst. So you guys should definitely check them out. They are doing some really good things in this Perth local music scene. So thank you, Teen Angst. We'll be using that from now on, and we'll tag them on our Instagram post. You can listen more of their music on SoundCloud, and you can also follow them on Instagram at Teen Angst.
Thank you, Teen Angst, for that fresh, funky new beat.
To today's episode, we're really going to be focusing on that transition from undergrad to postgrad. So, Ben, what was your undergraduate like?
Oh, in which degree are we talking about here?
Oh, I forgot you did that random geophysics one for a year. We could talk about both if you like. So, like what were the classes like? What was the general setup?
They were actually kind of similar, but then different at the same time, in various aspects, of course. So, geophysics, I felt like, because we were a smaller cohort going through the degree, everyone got to know each other a lot quicker. Like, straight off the bat, we were kind of, I won't say forced to be friends, but we were put in the same room and made to get along. So, in that first year, we became quite close.
How many people would you say was in the cohort?
30.
Only 30 doing that degree?
Yeah, from the start, I think... I kept in touch with them for 2 years after that, but I think in the third year, it was a 3-year degree. In the final year, there was only about 10 or 12 people in that year.
Wow.
So everyone was pretty good friends by then, or at least very familiar.
You would hope so. That's actually a good thing about having those smaller cohort degrees. You kind of just get into it from first year.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you find that experience was the same for Mulgen?
No way. There was 300. No, 300 was the size of one of the classes, but it was made up of different degree disciplines within. So maybe it was 100 in the first year, but that number quickly dropped as years went on.
Oh, yeah. Molecular genetics and biotechnology. I think a lot of people might have not found that to be their taste towards the end.
No, definitely. And it didn't really, the first year did not give a good taste of what the degree was all about. But yeah, what about you? What was your undergrad in and how did you find that?
Yeah, so I think I was only doing mining for 6 months, so I'm not going to go into that. But in terms of human bio, I think human biology and your degree, Ben, the Mulgen, they're kind of in the same sort of boat, kind of.
Within the same faculty, for sure.
Yeah. It was one of those very similar kind of degrees. And I think we share an interprofessional first year. So what that essentially means is in first year, you would have lots of students sort of overlapping very similar first year units and meeting lots of students doing other disciplines until maybe second and third year when it got more...
more specialised.
Yeah, and you start seeing the same people every day, more in second and third year, which was definitely my case as well. But yeah, my degree, as the name suggests, is very anatomy, physiology focused, how the body works. We did really interesting units like neuroscience, we did pathophysiology when things go wrong, and a lot of wet labs, anatomy labs. We had an evolution unit as well, which I didn't think I would like, but I loved it so much.
Okay.
And, a lot of physiology, so how things inside the body work.
Yeah, I guess you don't have you have probably an idea of what to expect when you go into it, but how you feel, you're probably most excited for a unit you didn't find.
Yeah, typically it's crazy because you think you know about the human body, but there's always something new, something more to learn. It's crazy how perfectly functioning we are, and when things go wrong, they can go very wrong. So I think I find that really interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Did you find that you had a 50-50 balance between your lecture and tutorials to labs, your wet labs?
Yeah, so definitely a lot of practicals, but of course you kind of have to do a lot of theory as well. like how this part works, and then kind of have a look at, what that particular muscle was in the lab and things like that. What about you? What were some of the units that you did for molecular genetics?
I struggle to remember the names of them. Like, they're all like variations with the word genetics in them. I remember looking at the degree structure. I think it was in my second year when I was sort of getting my first taste for it. And it was really exciting, actually, because I saw in my third year, it was a unit called genetic engineering.
Ooh, is that where you like clone things?
I wish. It sounds way cooler than it was. Actually, it wasn't bad. It was by far one of the most interesting units, at least for me. It was, we, as a class, I think there was 30 of us in our final year, and we were each given different DNA samples, and we had to identify the mutation. And all of us had different mutation in this DNA strand, like sample. And it was quite frustrating, actually, because there was something wrong with one of the components of the kit that I was given. So
was it the kit or was it you? No, I'm kidding.
No, it was the kit.
It was the kit. Let's blame the kit.
Yeah, it was definitely the kit. I can confirm that because the professor who ran that degree, he actually was one of my honours supervisors. So I kind of made that bad of an impression if I made it.
To honours. Yeah. On that note, Ben, do you remember going to those university open days? And then if you go into like the sciencey tents, they do like this little experiment where they extract the DNA of a strawberry.
Oh, wow.
I remember going, and it like used to blow my mind because you can actually see after all the extraction is over, you can see these little floaty like bits of DNA in whatever that solution was that they put it in. And I think I had gotten one in like, kept it for maybe 3 years after. Like it was just in the drawer. I was just so amazed. I was like, oh my God, this is my very own strawberry DNA.
Oh my God, you got to keep it? Wow.
Yeah, they like everyone made one of their own and got to keep it. Oh. Yeah, so did you kind of do similar things or?
Yeah, we did like DNA extractions, and other things. Sorry to break this to you though, but like through the whole degree though, you can actually never see the DNA.
Really?
So they probably tagged it with something that made it visible.
No. That's all right. I eventually cleaned my room and threw it out anyway. So
bye, strawberry.
Yeah. So in terms of like the flexibility of the classes, were you on and off campus a lot, or were there days where you could schedule your classes that you could maybe have like one day off during the week?
I wish. My first year, I think I was required to be on campus 4 days a week. And that was because of some stubborn lab classes. You just can't move a lab class because there's not enough classes.
Yeah, I had the same trouble because having so many labs and different like lecturers all had different availabilities and there were different lab times. So somehow like I just had pretty much 80%, if not more, towards second and third year of my time on campus. Yeah. And sometimes there were very large gaps between classes as well.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have the same?
Yep, I had some 3 and 4 hour breaks and later on they're okay, but early on they're a nightmare.
Oh God, yeah. Tell you what though, if the weather was lovely, get a group of friends together and like have lunch in the sun and read a book or chat or do some study together, or even go down to the local Curtin hangout. Most of the Curtin students, they go down to Waterford Plaza.
Yeah.
Did you ever used to?
I did a few times. I can't say it was often during the day. It was probably at the end of the day, like a hangout. Maybe if I had one class left and it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and the next class was at 6, we'd go get dinner at Waterford. But it was like a 15 to 20 minute walk, and it
was a nice walk. And when you're walking with someone, it's always less time than it seems. I remember at one point, it was actually a pretty unhealthy habit. We had a good group of friends doing the same degree, and when we could all sort of get together, most of the weeks we would go down to Waterford and we would I remember this distinctly, we would go down to Jester's and we'd get Jester's chips, and then right after we'd go to Hungry Jack's and get Hungry Jack Storms, and we would do that like multiple times a week. So it actually was not very healthy, but it was like a good wind down for the day,
100%. Jester's chips, so good.
And so good.
Now they have Macca's there as well. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The temptation it seems to be increasing more and more.
Lucky we're not there much anymore.
No, that's it. Yeah.
Did you have a good group of friends, or what was it like I know you said you were close to your geophysics pals. What about Molgen?
Yeah, I feel like when we made it to second year, we kind of we got to know everyone in our degree a bit better. Like you said, like the first year was interdisciplinary, so you kind of mixed in with everyone doing it, all different disciplines, and then you realize at the end of the year that you're not going to see them again because you're in different degrees. But in the second year onwards, you certainly get to know your group of like going through the degree very quickly, and you make friends. I've certainly got a few that are stuck through, and still friends with them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you would still catch up with them, or are they like Facebook friends?
I'd still catch up with them, but we're all pretty busy now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, we'll talk to each other on Facebook Messenger and catch up for like brunch or like lunch every now and again. But yeah, how about you?
Yeah, so we had a good group of friends doing human bio together, and then eventually like some would be a little bit ahead, some end up a little bit behind, and then, you know, we would go on to do honours and they were still finishing up. So we kind of saw each other less and less, but definitely towards second and third year, towards the end, you start seeing, you know, the same people in every classes. So you got to know each other pretty well. But I'd say that, like, people still had, like, their cliques.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like, wait, is it cliques or is it cliques?
Oh, I would say
know.
clique. I don't know.
Yeah, people still had like their own groups that they would hang out with, that you would just say hi and bye to, but you wouldn't necessarily like see them after hours kind of thing.
I understand that. Yeah.
But like we're still friends on Facebook, Instagram, and you know, I still love to see everyone doing really, really well and what they're up to. So it's a great community vibe at the end of the day as well.
100%. Like coming from like Mulgen, which is a research-based degree, we were all third year onwards, like honours and then postgrad units, we're all sort of based within 305 at Curtin. And
the research building?
Yeah, we all sort of became part of that. It didn't really matter what stage you were up to. Everyone knew each other eventually. It's just, it was a matter of time.
Yeah, you think it's a big place, but if you're in the same area all the time, you just run into the same people all the time. I'm finding that as well here at the hospital. You just keep seeing kind of like the same faces and things like that, which is good.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Ben, so we talked a lot about our undergrads and what the classes were like and what our friends were like, but were you involved in anything outside of that studying? So any uni clubs or quiz nights and exchange program?
I feel like my uni life was pretty straightforward. I didn't take part in any uni clubs or exchange programs, but in my geophysics group, I guess we had its own club. So, because we were based at the CSIRO building, we had this group called Kegs. I can't remember what it was called.
Did it revolve around beer?
It did a little bit. It was on a Friday afternoon. There was hot dogs and there was beer. I think there was a keg at one point as well. But there was some events on a Saturday which also revolved around beer. There was like a pub crawl, but I never really went on a Saturday because, well, that's my time.
That's your time.
That's my time.
How dare you invite me out on a weekend?
100%. I see enough of everyone Monday to Friday. I mean, you got to have those boundaries. But we'd have some quiz nights at the Curtin Tab and a few at the Varsity Bar. We went to a few of those, but then it weren't really Curtin University clubs as such. It was more just a socialising thing.
Just like events and stuff put on?
Yeah.
Student events?
Yeah. You turn up, you can compete with other groups that turn up. Not necessarily students, but you can turn up and compete for a voucher for the bar or for, I don't know, a free jug of your choice. Yeah. How about you?
I remember going to like open days and orientation days, those, days where the uni puts on all their different clubs and you go and join. I remember just going to and signing up for certain clubs because I wanted freebies, because they would hand out like little tote bags with stuff inside, but you had to sign up before you could get it. So I would just sign up to get like the tote bags and freebies, but then nothing really happened in terms of like meeting other people from the club or things like that. I think I went to one quiz night. I think it was like a biomed science quiz night, which was pretty fun. They had like free pizza and stuff and different prizes. I think we came second.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I wish I did an exchange program. That's probably my one uni life regret, not going somewhere on exchange to another uni.
Looking back, is that something that you could have easily accommodated?
Yeah, I don't know why it never happened, because I think first year I was like, okay, I'm interested, but let me settle into this uni life.
Yeah.
And then second year, third year, the workload just like became so heavy. I couldn't imagine going off to a different country for 6 months. I feel like that would really set me back. But yeah, looking back, definitely that was a big regret. The one really good thing that I joined, it's not really a uni club, but it's called UniPass, which is where students kind of become peer learning facilitators, and there's a lot of training and stuff behind the scenes. But essentially, the units that offered UniPass would essentially be led by a student who was previously successful in that unit, and they would sort of run sessions. So other students would come in, and the PLF or the peer learning facilitator would run very collaborative, student-centered sessions with interactive games and discussions based on a session plan of what they were going to like learn that week, which was something that I was involved in for about 2.5 years.
Wow.
And yeah, there was a lot of training, and then we moved to the online scene as well. We had Facebook groups for our UniPass groups, which went really well. And I think that was definitely the highlight of my uni life, being involved with UniPass. So they're an amazing, amazing team. And I still keep in touch actually with some of those UniPass facilitators, even though we were all kind of doing different units and things like that. Yeah.
I guess that's really good. You know, you meet. So was it from people from other faculties?
Yeah, so many other facilitators from other units within the university, and we would all be under the same sort of peer learning coordinator, which would be our boss, Amanda. And yeah, we get a lot of training, personal development nights, and yeah, it was just such a great experience that I think really built up some of these skills that you kind of learn.
Sounds like you got a lot out of the experience.
Amazing.
2.5 years as
if
well.
anyone goes to Curtin, go to a UniPass class, join their Facebook pages, and become a facilitator yourself. Did you ever go to any UniPass sessions?
I remember hearing about it, but I was just like,
you never went?
I'll pass. I don't know. At the time, you always think, no, I have time, or I have something else to do, or I have work, or I'm hungry. You know, there's always something.
To be honest, I was kind of the same. I was never that student that wanted to stay on campus longer than I had to. Like, I would just come for class if I did go to class at all, and then I would leave. So it's hard to think about ways to spend your time on campus when you didn't really want to be there.
Definitely. Yeah.
But I think towards second and third year, I hung around a lot longer because the workload was more intense, lots of group assignments, and it just became fun to just like hang out and do nothing. And Curtin would always put on like music or arts and crafts. There was always something to do on campus.
100%. I remember there being like the food markets on Wednesdays, and then there was like cinema night outside cinemas.
There was one time there was a make your own candle workshop.
What?
Yeah, I made like this jasmine scented one. I think I still have it. It's amazing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So that's not my sort of thing, but that I can.
What?
There's
candles should be everyone's thing.
No. I appreciate the smell, but
no, so many cool things. Live music as well. So many cool singers come through. Local bands, artists.
I think we had some live music at the tap sometimes as well.
Yeah, and on like open days, I remember one time, I think it was an orientation day, I actually saw San Cisco and got to meet the band members as well.
Oh, wow.
They are a local Fremantle band. They're amazing. But anyway, what do you miss most about your undergrad? Is there anything that you miss about it?
Well, listening to all those things, I kind of miss that. Like,
the nostalgia.
Yeah, like the postgrad, like I feel everything's more formal. You got more responsibilities. You got to take ownership of your project and handle and balance the time and everything that you got to do. And I feel like now we're not as surrounded by those extra things. We don't see many of the candle workshops, the outside cinemas. I mean, it's a whole different vibe.
Yeah, definitely. I also miss like being able to study with friends. Like you're all kind of doing the same assignment, the same work, and you're like, hey, what did you get for this? Exactly. Whereas here it's like, oh, I'm kind of on my own doing this project. And you can ask people for advice, but Like, you can't copy their work. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I think also with an undergrad, you go semester by semester, so you can kind of track your progress. Okay, what units have I done? How close am I to graduating? And with a postgrad, it just feels like one really long, zigzaggy kind of road, right?
It feels like you tick one box and then you realize, oh, I've got to do this one now, and I've got to do this thing. And then you realize that before you know it, like 5 months has passed and you're still on that same sort of umbrella goal.
Yeah, I don't know why. Semesters just seem like they go by quicker.
They do.
I guess now we can say that because we're looking back. Whereas, I mean, surely your PhD's gone quick. You're like 3 years in now.
Yeah, it's gone a bit too quick, to be honest. Like the first, I guess like the undergrad degree, your postgrad degree kind of goes, the workload increases as well. Like your first year is quite, I won't say chill, but you're still getting to know your project. You're learning how you're going to achieve and explore your aims and hypotheses. And by the time you get to your third year, that's where you really want to put the work in. So I guess I'm at that point.
Yeah. And back to kind of the undergrad. So we kind of talked about things that we missed about it, but is there anything that you hated about your undergrad or disliked?
I don't know that I disliked anything. I liked the structure, but then sometimes I hated it because there was other things I wanted to do. You don't stop life just because you're studying.
Yeah. I think I didn't know that well back then that I know it now. Like, you can't just wait for things to stop and then, life kind of goes on as you study.
Yeah.
But I think the structure, like the deadlines and the pressure, the assignments, I think that's sort of, not the best thing, but that's kind of the whole point of uni, isn't it? Yeah. I think the structure is a good thing. It's good to have structure and deadlines and know how on track you are, but it also piles on the pressure, which especially towards second year and third year just gets like a lot.
Definitely. I think as a postgrad student, you can handle that a lot better. You can say, look, no, if you put it in assignment terms, you say, you know what, no, I'm not going to sit this test for assignment next Friday. I'm going to put extra time and effort into this project or this assignment, and I'll finish this off, and then I'll push that due date back a week. But it's
a bit more flexible.
100%.
Yeah. And on that note, in uni, you do like 4 to 5 units at a time per semester, for example, whereas our postgrad, it's like the same project. So it's not like you're being pulled in so many different directions.
Definitely.
Is there anything else you want to add about undergrad? Or I think we could like segue on to postgrad now.
I think we can move on to postgrad.
Let's do it. So, Ben, we're both UWA PhD students, but we're not actually based on campus. We're actually based at a research institute. So it's the Harry Perkins Institute of Medical Research. And there's actually 2 buildings, a north building and a south building. We're actually currently based in the south building, which is located at a major WA hospital. And this is where we spend most of our time.
Yeah.
What's it been like for you being based not on campus and not necessarily surrounded by other students?
It's been a bit quiet and very different to my undergraduate experience, which we've just talked about. Like, we're one of very few groups down here at the moment. We're sort of the Harry Perkins North building, as everyone refers to it, is much more full. Everyone's based there.
Way more students as well.
Yeah, and we're the kind of first group to really call South our home. So we're still...
It's a bit more newer.
Yeah, we're still recruiting people. Like Adela was the second one to come into the group.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time. Like, what was it like for you in your first couple of years with, like, literally no other students in this lab? Like, it was just you and your supervisors.
It was really quiet. I mean...
You must have been so lonely.
I don't think we even played music. I think it might have been just, like, a few soundtracks, like, here and there, what you think is, like, liked by your supervisor in terms of music. But even then, it's just... The lab itself was very empty because we were sort of still establishing the lab.
There's no one in there.
Yeah, and there was like no equipment for us, like on the side. So we were like had to build it all up from the ground.
That's crazy. So what was it like when like I started coming in and now we have a few more students as well? I mean, for me, having like you here when I first started made all the difference, because obviously you like held my hand and like eased me into the kind of program. And even though I can talk to my supervisors, I think being able to talk to a fellow student, it's a lot more, it's different.
Yeah.
So for you not having that,
Google was my friend. What form do I need to submit with my annual report?
Yeah, no, I was very lucky to have you. So thanks for that,
okay.
Ben.
That's okay.
But you know we're here for you now.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's just changed, and I don't know. It feels like back in my day, saying has more relevance than ever.
Okay, old man. Unless you actually miss the times where you were alone, because now we probably like ask you for so many things. Hey Ben, help me with this.
I don't mind it. I mean, I was also based at Perkins North, so some of my experiments, at least in the first 2 years, I was at Perkins North a bit, so I did see some people there.
Oh yeah, so you got to meet a couple of students and people up there.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, got the taste of the local roast up there.
Ooh, yeah, they actually have a nice cafe as well up there.
They do.
I guess our listeners have heard a lot about our undergrad. In terms of a postgraduate, what can you say the structure is?
More flexible, if nothing else. It's just more flexible. It's on you to make a plan, to structure everything, which is good. You can have short Fridays, but then
half-day Fridays.
Yeah.
Shh, don't tell our supervisors. I was just looking on my notes, Ben, and I wrote a dot point saying that it was more relaxed, and I don't know why I said that, because it's definitely not more relaxed. So even though you're working on this one really big project and you have no other kind of units and things to do, it's more flexible, but in terms of workload, yeah, it's definitely like a different level, isn't it?
Definitely. Like, I think as well, this might be taking a little sidestep, but when you're in undergrad, if you're sick of a subject, if you're sick of studying for something, you can change unit, you can study for something else, and you can study for hours on end. But when you're doing a postgrad study, it's more than likely not the way it's going to be. I mean, realistically, you're going to be trying to figure out a whole list of different problems that fall within your same project.
Yeah, it's like, okay, should I work on this at my desk, or should I go into the lab and do something, or should I, it's pretty much the same thing, but in a different space.
There's going to be like, one problem pulling your arm that way and then a leg that way.
But though, would you say that there are definitely less deadlines? Like it's like we call them milestones, right? We don't really call them deadlines and due dates. So they're called milestones. So these are the main things that you have to reach on a certain timeline in your project to let your supervisors know, yourself know, and the university know that you're on the right track to finish on time.
Yeah.
But I think you said to me once that milestones aren't exact dates. They're just like there to guide you, right?
I think so.
Oh god!
You can't quote me like that. No, it's very. I think it's true. I mean, the milestones. I think they are. There's
and our milestones. Just for an example, like one of them is obtain human ethics before you can start your project.
Yeah.
6 months from the start of your project, you submit a research proposal. Yeah. There's also annual progress reports. That's pretty much it for me. Yeah. So you can see that a couple of the forms and reports, pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, it's like your first year, you have a 6 months, we have a few 6-month milestones, and then after that, it's pretty much just annually. And
yeah, but on that note, because you don't have so many deadlines, it's up to you to really make sure you're on track and getting things done.
Which can be a bit difficult. I mean, splitting up a task into 365 days minus hopefully some time for holidays.
Yeah, and we spoke about this last episode, but like you can plan things and have a timeline, and essentially I did that. So I handed in my research proposal with like this perfect color-coded timeline of exactly what I'm going to do, and then literally everyone went into lockdown because of COVID. So I was like, oh my god, this is going to take 3 to 4 months off of my plan.
No. Yeah.
So like honestly you can plan, but you can't plan for things like a pandemic and other things that come up along the way, but it's good to sit down and think about your project and what you want to get done.
No, definitely. So how would you did that just sort of just push everything back? Were there things you could work on in in the interim?
Yeah, I think it definitely pushed things back because I was at the stage, as you know, where I was beginning my recruitment, and because everyone went into lockdown and patients who were not regarded as in super serious kind of need were told to avoid places like hospitals and, you know, things like that. And even doctors were doing teleconferencing. They were seeing patients through
Zoom.
teleconferencing. I'm not sure exactly what they used, but so, you know, the hospital was really quiet during that time, and there were all these precautions. No one knew what was going to happen. So essentially I couldn't recruit anyone until, you know, all of that died down. Which thankfully it has, so I can get back into it. But yeah, it was looking grim for a while. I wasn't sure what was going to be happening. Was anything like that? Was your timeline affected a lot?
It kind of was. Like, I just finished off my animal study, and then I was supposed to be in the lab working and processing samples, and I can't do that from home. So I was trying to do some writing, and there's only so much you can write without results. So
it was a bit of a struggle.
It was, definitely.
But you're back into it now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to catch up, make up for lost time.
Yeah. Another thing that's completely different in a postgrad to an undergrad is we get a fair bit more opportunity to present at conferences. So even if it's a poster presentation or an actual oral presentation, and, you know, on that note, we can travel. You know, if there wasn't a travel ban, you had some money from the university to travel to a conference interstate or overseas even.
Definitely.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, they
Did you go to any?
Not so far in my PhD. I've been to a few during my honours, and I guess at that time I was still classified as an undergrad student. So I've been to a few conferences. They're all local. I had my sights set on an international one this year.
Oh, where was that to?
It was in Canada.
No, COVID robbed you of that chance.
It was supposed to be in July.
Oh.
I think it was canned altogether. It might have gone over Zoom, but I just
wasn't the same. Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
Another thing as well, in terms of postgrad, so we don't really have like lecturers and tutors per se. We have our supervisors, and you can have. Do you have to have one or more than one? Can you have just one?
I'm not sure. I think you can have just one, but it's a lot of responsibility for one.
Yeah. So I have two. I don't know why I had to think about that. I have two, and we kind of share a supervisor, you and I.
Yeah, we do.
How many do you have?
I have, it's going to sound bad, but I have 5.
Okay.
I'm not saying that I need it, but it's just, it depends on the, I guess, requirement of your PhD. So your supervisors are kind of like experts in their field, right? So if you have a project that encompasses many different types of studies.
Expertise. And different people are good at different things in their field, right?
Definitely. So you try and get them to collaborate and work together to help progress your project, basically. So they kind of have an idea, but ultimately it is on you. But you need them to sort of get you off the ground, get you moving. So I have 5, and they all have their own sort of...
Can I ask?
Yes.
How many of those 5 do you regularly have contact with?
At the moment, 3.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
3 out of 5.
One of them I haven't spoken to since before I started my PhD.
Wow. Wow. So they're like your supervisor on paper, but they don't really interact with you. They don't care about your well-being.
Okay. He probably does, but...
he does. No,
he does. He does.
He hasn't contacted you once in 3 years.
I think we've just...
drifted apart.
I think when you break down a project into its parts, you need different supervisors at different times. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll probably...
So his time's coming?
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, I just assumed it was a he.
No, it is a he.
Okay, yeah. So he'll help you with something later on.
Definitely. I'm not disclosing any names.
Yeah, no, let's not. No, that's good. So our supervisors are pretty chilled as well. So I think a lot of the time they say, or they've told us before, you know, if I don't see you at your desk or coming in, as long as I know you're on track and you're working, it doesn't matter. Like if I don't see you every day, as long as I know you're on track. Which is super chill because some people are like, I want to see you physically and at your desk between 9 to 5 every weekday.
I want to make
Yeah.
sure that you're working.
Yeah, which is actually so inflexible in this day and age. Like, I want to come in at like 10 and stay till 6. I want to be able to have that choice.
I find it counterproductive sometimes as well. Like I found, especially in my first year when I was coming in by myself, and sometimes my supervisors wouldn't be here, or they'd be at the hospital. I'd be literally the only one in my office, and I don't know how many days of that you can tolerate. But sometimes I found that my best days of writing, I was at Dome, or I was at a cafe, and I was ordering a coffee, and I was just sitting there, and the cafe noise was just perfect background noise. You know,
Yeah.
it's just enough to get the creative juices
That's
flowing.
interesting. I mean, surely you order some wedges with that.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. Some days you come in and you're like, I would have been so much more productive at home kind of thing.
Definitely.
But at the same time, it depends on what we're doing. Like, I can't exactly recruit patients from home, so I'm having to be here every day, and you're doing work in the lab now. So, you know, we kind of...
It changes.
Yeah. But we like to leave early-ish.
Yeah, I mean, we try to balance the work, so at least like you start strong, get through most of the day, then by the time lunch is done, you don't feel as much pressure.
And we love our half-day Fridays, but I think we've been here a lot longer on Fridays to record.
Yeah,
haven't we, Ben?
Yep. Spending the time with you.
Yeah, in the studio. I was going to say something, but I've forgotten. I was going to say, do you think if we moved to a 4-day work week, would you be productive?
I'd be productive. I'd probably have, I'm not going to like saying it, but I think I'd have longer days, but I think I'd be more productive. Like if I had a Monday to Thursday or even a Tuesday to Friday, like if because you can squeeze an extra day.
Because mentally in your head, you have one less day to get things done. So that might give you that extra boost you need throughout the week to be extra productive.
Definitely.
But I feel like it could also be really counterproductive. You know why? Because some people fall into the trap of doing 5 days worth of work in 4 days. And that's not what we're going for. We're going for a healthy work-life balance, aren't we, Ben?
Yeah, 100%. Definitely.
So who do we need to talk to make this a thing? Like 4-day work weeks. Like everyone's struggling, Surely we can have that extra day for a weekend.
That'd be nice.
That would be lovely.
I think we could get a lot of signatures on that petition.
Yeah, we might have to start it up, hey?
Yeah, I worry about the stress, though, with that as well. But I guess with any change comes adjustment.
But it's interesting because as we saw with the COVID situation, less people on the roads, less pollution, less traffic. If everyone kind of had that one more day off, we'd all be at home or we'd all be out, stimulating more of the economy and, having a healthy mental health, having better mental health. I don't know.
No, definitely.
Anyway, now we're just rambling. So we'll go to a little break and then we'll come back. We'll tell you what we liked and what we hated or what we hate, present tense, about our postgrad.
So Adela, what do you like most about your postgrad degree? What do you like most about the PhD experience?
So far, I think we've touched on a lot of this already. So the flexibility of it, how you're very much in control of your project, which at times can also be a thing that I hate, but how everything's kind of on you to make things happen. I love that we have super chilled supervisors. I like the workload for me, the combination of different things. So if I'm recruiting patients, I'm in the hospital. There's also some lab work when I'm then, storing and processing the samples, correct. Although we haven't analyzed anything yet, but that'll be much later anyway. And also how, I'm also doing work at my desk. Like I have a lot of different things to do, I guess, to keep busy.
Admin stuff.
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I guess it's a lot of the same. I mean, you feel like you're kind of working for yourself. You're managing your time, you're managing projects, you're setting up what needs to be done. For example, when I was at Perkins North, I had to coordinate with a lot of other people to get things working. That was perhaps when time wasn't in my hands. It was following other people's schedules, but now it's definitely more flexible. I have more control over where I am and what I'm doing, which is great.
Awesome.
I guess it kind of brings us to, what do you hate about it, or what do you
Everything
not
else.
enjoy?
Yeah, I think a lot of the pressure, because I feel like there's so much riding on the recruitment, doing the experiments, that things will work out, and then you've got to write this massive thesis at the end, publications along the way. Like if you're publishing by a thesis by publication, you've got to worry about writing and publishing, and that has its own pressure as well.
Definitely.
So yeah, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I put a lot of pressure on myself. So even the simple things I get really stressed over, and it's a little bit hard to deal with. So a lot of the ups and downs, and there've been a fair few downs. So that's hard to deal with. Like before my PhD, I feel like my mood was quite constant. Like I was generally happy, like maybe 98% of the time.
Yeah.
But since starting my PhD, like I've definitely noticed a lot of like down moods, like really kind of
you're just not as emotionally stable because of stress and everything going on.
It's very multifactorial. There's so many other things going on, and it's hard to maintain. Like it's hard to
keep the same mindset. I think.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I can definitely agree with you on that. I mean, it sounds bad to say that it is like that, but it's no one wants it to be like that. I mean, our supervisors, as the dealer has said, is quite really chill. They're supportive. They want us to go through and be in like the best version of ourselves.
Yeah.
While still completing the project.
And like they don't push us. Like they know what we need to get done. We know what we need to get done. Okay, let's just do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're definitely luckier than most.
100%.
Apart from that, anything else?
I kind of dislike the structure sometimes. This is going to go back to undergrad, but I miss having allocated breaks. Like I made the mistake.
Yeah, we don't get breaks.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
I mean, they treat us like employees in the way that I think we're entitled to 4 weeks off. But I don't know about you, but when I made my plan, I didn't put 4 weeks in there to have a break. I kind of was like, okay, this goal's done, which means I can move on to this and that. And I guess somewhere along the way, I was just like, I'm feeling pretty tired. I feel like I should have a day or a week. And it's probably it always happens at the worst time possible. You're in the middle of something big and you can't stop it. But
yeah, no, that's a really good point, because when you're in undergrad, you always have, oh my gosh, yes, it's study week, or yes, it's after exams, it's now semester break. Yeah. And you definitely know when you have those times off. Mm-hmm. Whereas now it's like, well, I'm recruiting patients. I can't exactly just disappear for like a week to take a break just because I need to.
Our focus is on our project. And like in undergrad, we were taught that, you focus on your units, you focus on your degree, you're focusing on what you're doing, your workload and everything, and the breaks just happened.
In saying that, though, we do get a designated university shutdown.
Yeah, that's true. It's like 2 weeks, though.
So that's always good.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I think that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, Ben, so we've talked a lot about our undergraduate and our postgraduate experience and what we liked and what we don't really like. I think we can sort of wrap up. So we're now going to transport ourselves backwards through time and space back to our very first days at university. So if you could give yourself some advice back then, knowing the things that you know now, what would you say to first year Ben?
Don't be afraid to go against the grain and break away from everyone. Like if you have just have some confidence. Even if you have a question during question time or after class, if you have any doubt in your mind, go clear it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having that. I mean, I'm sure if you're having those doubts, I'm sure you're not alone.
Good advice. I don't remember much of my first day. I think the first 6 months of mining I've kind of blocked out because that was just a lot of PTSD. But I think once I started human bio, I probably would have encouraged myself to do an exchange program for sure at some point in my undergrad, and also just go to classes, like especially to first year me, who was like, oh, I don't really want to go. I already know all these things, because you know how basic everything is in first year. I would definitely tell myself to go because that's where you make friends, that's where you get comfortable, that's when you kind of, you know, motivate yourself to do better, and you develop some good habits, which you then take with you into the rest of the degree.
You get used to that university change as well. Coming from high school, I mean, you're treated much more like an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it should be an easy adjustment, but it's one that it'll make your university life a lot easier.
And I definitely tell myself earlier on to sit down, think about what it is that I exactly want to do. Maybe think a little bit more about career options, which I think a lot of first years don't tend to do. You kind of just, I'm in university now. It's so different. It's so new. I'm doing this degree.
Yeah.
But really sit and think about what you want out of life. And my advice is, especially to myself, don't follow the money trail. Do what you're interested in, what you're passionate in, and believe that one day a door will open for you.
No, that's good advice. Definitely. Don't just get into a degree, get into that boat and just sail through. Think about it.
Yeah, definitely. And join that club. Join that club, meet those people, go out on a Saturday and have a beer with those geophysics dudes. Try everything. That's what uni is for.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Next week, we talk about mental health and how important it is to have support and guidance during a postgrad, as well as ask ourselves what we might be doing if not a PhD. And
our answers may surprise you. One last shout out to Teen Eggs. Thank you for coming up with original beats for our brand new podcast.
Don't forget to check them out on SoundCloud, Instagram, and Facebook at Teen Angst.
Thanks for spending your time with us. We look forward to having you back next week.
Bye.
If you'd like to get involved, drop us your questions and your queries. Let us know what you'd like to hear on the show. And you can find us on our Instagram at SoYouThinkYouCanPhD. And there's a link to our email there as well. Thank you so much. See you next week.